name is Carl, and you're looking at the Google Analytics class. In this class, we're going to learn how Google Analytics work, how you can use Google Analytics to understand what's happening on your site to derive insightful information and actionable information. So we're going to go through the entire platform, and we're going to see how you can use it for your business. So you may be wondering, what is Google Analytics? I'm going to refer to it as GA from now on. So what is GA? And maybe you've heard of it from your coworkers, you read an article about it and you just add it to your site and you're like, yeah, I have Google Analytics, but what is it? Basically, GA is a way to track your visitors on your site. And that is very powerful because it enables you to understand how people are interacted with your website. If you have an e-commerce site, you can understand how people convert. What pages do they look at before they convert, before they create a purchase? If you are a publishing website, you can understand which pages have the higher engagement. You can see which ones have the lower engagement. You could also see which traffic sources are working the best for you. So if you have paid campaigns, are those working for you? If you are doing a lot of PR and outreach, are all those efforts worth it for you? If you're working on SEO, is that SEO bringing the traffic you need and you want to your site? And these are some of the questions that you'll be able to answer by looking at the Google Analytics data that you have. Google Analytics has been around for quite some time actually. It started with Urchin, and as you can see from the 4 different screens I have here, it basically has evolved quite a bit over the years. And this tells us one very important thing, is that because Google Analytics has been around for so long, it's actually been refined pretty well, and it's a very robust platform. Google Analytics work with 2 things. The first piece of it is JavaScript, the second piece of it is cookies. So it works with JavaScript, meaning that if a user does not have JavaScript enabled in their browser, then you won't be able to track them with Google Analytics. So if you don't know what JavaScript is, just look it up real quick. It's a programming language, and that's what Google uses to track the visitors with Google Analytics. Cookies, on the other hand, are little pieces of code that your website will drop on each visitor, and that enables you to understand when a visitor returned that it's the same visitor that was there a couple days ago, a couple months ago. So cookies are a way to track users on your website. Now this is the sample code that Google Analytics will ask you to add onto your website. So as you can see, it's basically at the top it says script type text JavaScript, so it tells you it's a JavaScript piece of code. In red, you can see that there's your account number. The little -1 next to it is basically that's in there in green. It's useful so if one account has many kind of different tracking codes, and I'll get into that later on as to why you would want this. And basically all you do is you drop this code on your website, so either you or your engineers, or if you're using a WordPress blog, you can find a way to add this via some of the plugins that they have. And that's it, you're done. Google will start tracking your visitors right away, so it's very easy to implement. Now, why Google Analytics? There's many analytic platform out there, and you may be wondering like, okay, is Google Analytics the best thing for me? And chances are Google Analytics is what you can get the most bang for your buck. So if you're a foreigner, that basically means that you'll get the most value out of it given its price. And because it's free, you get a lot of value out of it. Or I should say, it's free and you get a lot of value out of it. It's easy to use, it's easy to implement, it's easy to understand. Google Analytics does fall short if you need to do very detailed user level analysis. And for you to do this, there's other platforms out there like Kissmetrics or Mixpanel, which are great for that too. But in the context of this course, we're only going to talk about Google Analytics because it's what's going to be applicable to 90% or 95% of the people who are watching these videos. So a couple things to keep in mind. As I mentioned earlier, Google Analytics is JavaScript and cookie based, and you kind of want to use Google Analytics to understand how people are interacting with your website. If you have dynamic URLs, it's hard for you to derive any valuable information from it because since they change, they're dynamic, they change, you won't know how many people came to your products page. If you can change that, that would be great. It would also help you with SEO. If you can't, don't worry about it. You can still derive value out of this course, but just keep that in mind. Google Analytics only tracks visitors. It doesn't track crawlers or bots. The reason I'm telling you this is that you won't know with Google Analytics if a crawler or a bot is hitting your website 1,000 times a minute. But again, that's mainly the exception and not the rule. There's also some people that I like to call browsing ninjas. And as you saw earlier, I described Google Analytics with a little camera because it helps you follow your users around on your website. If they have cookies disabled, you know, they may have JavaScript, but they don't have cookies enabled, then you can't track them. So you will see some information, but not all of it, and that's just, it's not very helpful. If somebody clears their history or use different browsers, so if I go to your website with Google Chrome as a browser, and then I go to your website with Safari or Firefox as a browser, Google Analytics will see me as two different visitors. And if I go from my phone, that'll be a third different visitor. Because it's cookie based and because it's JavaScript based, it can only track at a browser level. If I clear my cookies, then and I come back to your site, I will be considered a new visitor. The good thing is that the number of people that clear their cookies is very, very minimal, so that shouldn't be a big worry for you. But keep that in mind. Again, take everything that you see on Google Analytics with a grain of salt. Some good things to know is that when you're giving access to your Google Analytics account, you have two options. You have admin access, which means they can do anything, and you have reports only. So if you are a company that works with an agency, you may want to give them report only access, so they can only access the data they need to give you the reports you want. If you have multiple sites, you can use Google Analytics across the sites. So remember the green -1 I mentioned earlier in the tracking code? This is where if you had multiple sites, it could be -2, -3, -4. And an example of multiple sites would be, you know, my website is www.example.com, but my blog is at blog.example.com. So in that case, blog.example.com could be my second site, and I want to track both of them under the same account. You would be able to do this. You can also exclude traffic from a given IP address. If you don't know what an IP address is, I would look it up again. Quick Google will tell you what it is, but it's basically tells you from where the person is connecting to your website. And that is very useful for you to exclude your own office IP address or your home address if you work from home. Because, you know, if you have employees and developers going onto your site, you know, every day interacting with your site, it's going to skew your results. And the more you skew the results in Google Analytics, the harder it is going for you to derive insights and knowledge and actionable metrics. It's also, there's a great online community behind Google Analytics, and there's a lot of documentation about how to use it and how to pull the reports. So that is definitely a plus. Google Analytics integrates seamless with AdWords. AdWords is Google's paid platform for you to serve ads. And if you do have an AdWords account, then you make sure you link it with Google Analytics, because if you don't, then you won't have that information, that data richness that comes associated with how people interact on your site given your advertising campaigns. And something that's very important for you to note, as I said, Google Analytics is like a camera, which means that any page that does not have your Google Analytics code does not track its users. So make sure you tag every single page. And usually the easiest way to do this is to add the Google code either on your website's footer or your header. And again, once you sign up for a Google Analytics account, Google tells you how to set everything up. And if you don't have a Google Analytics account, I would go create one right now. And for that, you would go www.google.com/analytics with an S, and you will be able to sign up and register right away.